Next up, we will have treasurer and sinking fund, and then we'll go on break. DC 47. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Please just state your name for the record.
Sure.
And you can start your testimony.
Rashia Johnson. Good afternoon, Council President Clark, members of City Council. I am Rashia Johnson, City Treasurer. In the interest of time, I know we've submitted the testimony, so I'm just going to be very truncated. Joining me today is Matthew Mazza, who is the Executive Director of the Sinking Fund Commission. And I'm pleased to provide the testimony for the City Treasurer's Office for our fiscal year 2017 operating budget. The proposed fiscal year 2017 general fund budget totals $1.18 million, increase of $54,000 over FY 2016 estimated obligations. This increase is primarily due to a request for an additional accountant and increase in wages from DC 47 raises beginning in July 2016. One additional thing I'd like to highlight that was mentioned earlier, the CTO manages the city's relationships with the rating agencies, leveraging the city's improving and economic fiscal outlook and working to optimize investor relations. And currently the city is rated in the A category across all three rating agencies. This concludes my testimony. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Matt.
Good afternoon, Council. Matthew Mazza, Executive Director of the Sinking Fund Commission. The mission of the Sinking Fund is to appropriately pay debt service for the city and to help in the management of the PGW pension plan. My total budget for the Sinking Fund Commission for fiscal year 2017 is $630.58 million, which is an increase of $27.99 million, or about 4.64% over the estimated obligations for fiscal year 16. The fiscal year 17 budget for each of the funds and change from the last year as follows. It's a $31.6 million increase in the general fund, approximately a 12.85% increase. A decrease in $19.7 million for the water department. It's approximately a decrease in 8.7%. Aviation, we have an increase in $14.1 million, approximately an increase in 11.4%. And the car rental tax has stayed flat, and that's $6 million. I'd be happy to answer any questions from anyone now.
Thank you. Councilman Dom.
Council President, I think you guys sent me a chart of some debt issues that you requested.
Yes.
But it doesn't have what my questions are, and that is, with the new potential borrowings, what will our total debt be for the city in all categories? I have in this chart, and I have copies if anybody wants it. It says in 2000, I think we were at, what, 7 billion, 7.1 billion?
That's
and in
right.
27, it was 7.5 billion. And in 2015, it's 8.1 billion. And my question is, with the new borrowings we may have to do, what will our debt be in 2017? That's one question. You may not have the answers today. And the second question is, I just would like to know, compiled, not broken down, but compiled in total, if we were like if you had a mortgage payment, you'd want to know how much is principal and how much is interest. For all of this debt we have, what are we paying off per year in principal? What are we paying in interest? And is there an average interest rate of all that debt that you could show us?
The first question, 2017 is estimated an additional 100 in the budget as it stands, an additional 150 million in debt, in addition to what's there. And I think we provided that to you, but we can send that. And then also, we can send you our debt service schedule of how debt is rolling off every year. Because I think another one of the questions you had is how long the debt, and it rolls out to for 30 years to 2046. And that's across all credits, including water, gas, and aviation in the general fund. In addition to that, I know you asked about a weighted average. We do not do a weighted average because each credit has its own rating. So to combine all the TICs, we just don't do that.
Okay, so let me just ask this question. If we're at $8 billion in 2015, what will that number be? Do we borrow in I don't know the number for 2016. I'm trying to find out what is our debt in 2017 going to look like, and are we paying off, I don't know, $500 million a year in principal in total?
So the debt service number for fiscal year 2017 is $795 million. The majority of that is principal. I think it's 60-40 the split in terms of principal and interest. As you know, with all debt, we would hope that the debt is going to continue to pay off over time as we pay off our debt. In fiscal year 16, it was $971 million, but we're also including a TRAN for fiscal year 16 in that number. So if you subtract the TRAN, it would be in the high sevens.
So is it possible, just to show, because you have $8 billion in the chart you gave me.
That was as of 6/30/2015, and right now it's probably about $7.7 billion as of my numbers of March 24th.
So I mean, this could be in a positive way, not a negative way. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Correct.
If our debt as a city is going down because we're paying principal, right? That's positive. That I'm sure Moody's would enjoy that view of that, right? So I just want to show everybody where we are financially. If we could have that kind of a chart that shows that it's now down to 7.6, and what's going to be down, and what's going to happen as we borrow and as we pay down. It sounds like we're paying down almost faster than we're borrowing. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And over the 10-year period, over 50% of our debt is paid down. So
I don't think people really know that. I think that information should be shared.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. I do have a question, Ms. Johnson, on your exhibit that you have given us, the Treasury Management System, TMS.
Yes.
And the question I have, the Treasury Management System mentioned on page 4 of your testimony, how much does that cost? And second part, would it pay for itself in savings?
Christopher Schwartz, Deputy City Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz.
To answer your question, the TMS approximately in the first year would cost about $140,000. That includes the implementation cost of getting that system up and running. The system itself could provide some benefit in terms of cost savings, I'll say, in terms of analyzing bank fees and ensuring that across the board we are paying less fees and giving us a ability to negotiate fees down. It's more of a control and value add type system than it is a cost saving system now.
Okay, but there is potential of saving some small amount of money.
Very small amount of money.
Incremental.
Yes.
Well, a small amount of, I don't know, Ben Franklin said save your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves, something like that. But I mean, the point of it is my point to you is you're saving some dollars in some ways. I mean, it's a small amount.
A small amount, yes.
Still something.
Okay. Yes.
Many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I have one quick question. In your budget detail, section 17, page 4, you're showing an increase of $3 million in interest payments on a TRAN, i.e. tax revenue anticipation note. Can you tell me the reason for that?
That's just the actual interest on the TRAN. So the TRAN was $175 million. The interest payment is...
So is that normal?
Yes.
It's no aberration. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Councilman Dom has some more follow-up.
Thank you, Council President. Just a follow-up question. We now have over 270 different bank accounts between Wells Fargo, PNC, United Bank, Republic, and TD. And we pay about $1.5 million in bank fees. Is there any way to negotiate those fees down or eliminate them or try to condense some of those accounts?
What we actually do is we don't actually pay hard dollars for bank fees. They're paid through earnings credits. And the CTO, we continually monitor fees to ensure that they're being delivered at negotiated prices. So we are currently doing that. And for the services that they provide to us.
But my understanding of how that works is that that's the interest they're paying on our money, and they're taking the interest from us as the fee. That's how that works.
Well, right, it's earned income credits, exactly.
We're
But we
it.
wouldn't, in natural sense, we wouldn't earn that. If, for example, there's an overage, we don't earn that interest. So what we do is we continually monitor to make sure that we have enough to cover any expenses, and any other dollars are actually moved to our investment managers where we actually earn interest that could actually flow into our general fund.
Well, you know, in the private world, I will say that we have conversations with banks all the time and request that they waive fees on certain accounts, which they do, because we have other businesses with them. So I guess one of the questions is, besides these bank accounts, do we do other business with Wells Fargo, PNC, United Republic, and TD, where that conversation could occur?
Yes, we do other business with them, and we can have conversations with them.
I would push them. The other question I have, second question, has to do with the city recently required all non-represented and exempt employees to enroll in direct deposit or receive a Citibank debit type card. Mm-hmm. And the question is, why are we still printing out pay stubs for those employees and mailing some? And can we require all employees to enroll in direct deposit or a debit card to replace this administrative cost?
Well, the question with regards to the pay stubs, I think that's a question that payroll can answer. But we worked in conjunction with them in human resources.
Hi, Kathy Pastor, First Deputy Director of Finance. I'm sorry, is the question, why don't we require all employees to do direct deposit?
That's one of them, and the other is, why, if we're doing direct deposit, why do we still print out pay stubs?
In answer to the first question of why don't we require all employees to do direct deposit, so far we have required exempts and non-reps to do that because we have the ability to impose that requirement. We don't have the ability to impose the requirement on the labor represented people unless we negotiate that with the unions. We plan to move towards encouraging them at this point, and we have discussed whether or not we want to, go further with the unions to see if we can work out more of a requirement, but we're not quite there yet.
So that's part of the union negotiations that'll occur down
We would
the
have
road?
to negotiate with them. We can't just impose that.
Okay. What about the...
And the pay stubs, we also are working towards a part of the system that we're building, the One Philly system. There will be a piece of that has employee self-service where people can actually go online and look up their pay stubs. Right now, we don't have the ability to provide that information to people electronically, so unfortunately, we do still provide the paper pay stub.
Okay.
But we are working to move away from that.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. That appears to conclude the questions for these witnesses. We'll reconvene at 2 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. With Office of Property and Assessment.